Hi YouTube, my name is Dory, or the Legioness, as I'll be known on here. And today I just wanted to share my very first YouTube video, first off. So sorry about audio and if the picture looks a little grainy, which it does to me. I just really wanted to get this video posted today. So 1 year ago today, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. It was a quick and hard fall for me. Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease, and I have lesions on my brain, on my neck, on the right side here, and on my spine. And for me, this all started December 7th, 2020. I went grocery shopping that morning, and I always went grocery shopping on the 7th because I was getting food stamps, and that's when my food stamps would come on my card. So all through 2020, I had dodged COVID, and I had stayed home. I only went out every 14 days because I also had asthma, so I couldn't take any chances being out there. And like I said, December 7th, I went grocery shopping. I came home and I was extremely tired. Like, I was so tired. And I went to bed, but I never fell asleep until, the nighttime. But I stayed in bed all day because I was so tired. I just felt very heavy and just exhausted. A few days later, I woke up and I had slurred speech. And I didn't think anything of it at first. I had a tooth that was chipped a couple of weeks prior, so I thought that was, just affecting my speech. But as days went on, I had more physical changes and just issues in general. My legs felt really heavy. I wasn't able to lift my right leg, which I hadn't been able to lift my right leg, I'd say probably for a good year or so. I mean, as far as like putting on pants, putting on panties, putting on socks, I would have to sit down, then, put it on that way. I couldn't do it standing up. But I was kind of running into walls, not like face on running into walls, but, just like going around corners, I would hit my shoulders. And I had some vertigo going on. And my pinky in my right hand was really numb and tingly, off and on, and still didn't think anything. So I called my doctor and left a message. It was after hours. Left a message. It said that I thought I had had a stroke, and can I please come in for a doctor's appointment? And I think about that now and have to laugh because I worked in cardiology for 8 years. And I was like, yeah, you are definitely has some brain damage going on to think you having a stroke and you just want to go in for a doctor's appointment. So the next day the nurse called me back. She was like, no, but you can go to the emergency room. Doctor wants you to go to the emergency room. And I was like, I'm not going because it's almost Christmas time and I had things to do. So I'll go to the emergency room on December 26th. I didn't tell her this, of course, but that was in my head. So the next day, the doctor called me and he was like, "You need to go to the emergency room." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go." I didn't go. A few days later, probably around the 19th, my cousin called me, and I hadn't talked to her in a long time. It had been like over a year, so we were on the phone for a good hour or so. I finally said to her, just like out the blue, I was like, I think I had a stroke. And she was like, oh, really? When? You know, how are you doing? I was like, no, I think right now I had a stroke. Like, I don't feel good. My speech is slurred. She was like, "Oh, I was wondering why you talk like that. I thought you were under the influence." And I was like, "No, not today. I'm not under the influence." So I was like, "But please don't tell anyone. I just have to get through Christmas. I gotta be here for my girls for Christmas. I have 3 daughters." So she was like, yeah. I'm not gonna tell anyone, Dory. Don't worry." So about 2 hours later, my grandmother showed up over here at my house, and I live on the third floor, so she doesn't come up. She called me from downstairs, and I just knew my cousin must have called my aunt must have called my grandma. My grandma's here to check on me and take me to the hospital. So I went ahead and I got dressed, and instead of just throwing on anything, I got dressed and I went downstairs. And as soon as I saw my grandmother's face, I started crying. And I didn't even know that I needed to cry. I didn't feel like I needed to cry, but just as soon as I saw her face, I started crying. And she was like, "What is going on? What's wrong?" And I told her, I think I'm having a stroke. I think I had a stroke. I could tell my blood pressure is really high because the back of my head was like, boom, 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 boom. And she was like, "Okay." And she called 911 right away. They came, checked my blood pressure. It was super high, triple digits over triple digits. And so they took me to the emergency room. They did all the normal testing, EKG, a bunch of blood work. I think they did a CT scan too, and they didn't find anything. They didn't see anything. So the next day, I went to my doctor, and he gave me, the general office work over, follow my fingers, things like that. And he sent a referral for me to have an MRI, which was going to, by then was going to be the next day, the 23rd of December. And so I went in at 8 o'clock at night, and actually by now I was already had my diagnosis. It's about 11:40. So I went to the hospital, had the MRI. The tech told me to wait because the doctor wanted to review it before he released me to go home. So I'm in the waiting room. The tech comes back out, says, "Okay, you can go home." So I came home. It was about 10:30, I guess, at that point. And I'm sitting there with my daughters, and we're discussing Christmas dinner and everything that I wanted to prepare on Christmas Eve, and finish up on Christmas Day and the wrapping of the presents and all of that. And my phone rings, and by this time it's like 11:30. I could tell it's my doctor because the facility's name showed up on my phone. So I answer, and he says, "Are you home? Are you alone? Do you have any family there?" And I'm like, "Yes to all the above." And he says, "Okay, well, MRI shows that you have multiple sclerosis." I freaked out. I just started screaming, crying. Oh my goodness. Because all I knew of multiple sclerosis was I had done a MS walk when I was 18, 19 in San Diego, and all I remembered was seeing the people in the wheelchairs, not able to walk, talk, communicate at all. That's all I remembered. I knew nothing else about MS. And so I just ran screaming crying from the living room, and I came in the bedroom, and I threw my partner the phone, and he talked to the doctor, and I just crumbled crying on the ground. So once I kind of got myself together, I get back on the phone with the doctor, and he's like, "You have to go back to the hospital right now." I'm like, "Right now?" Like 11:30 at night. He's like, "Yeah, you need to go back right now so you can begin treatment." So I did that. Went back to the hospital. This is again during COVID. The first time I had went, and they just did all the testing, didn't find anything. I was in a room, in the emergency room, in a room. This time when I went back, I'm in the hallway. I was in the hallway for a good 4, 5, 6 hours. And all this COVID stuff is going on around me, and the midnight people, you know, who end up in emergency room all around, and I'm like, what is happening right now with my life? Like, it was so crazy. So they ended up giving me a Xanax, and I went to sleep for like an hour or so. Woke up still in this nightmare. So eventually I get, a room becomes available, and I get moved upstairs. The nurse, the very first nurse that I had when I moved upstairs, when she walked in, she's looking at me strange. And, I'm going through my stuff mentally, so didn't really trip off of it too much. But then she finally shares with me that she also has MS. She was just diagnosed less than a year before. And her story was kind of the same as mine. She was getting ready for her child's birthday party, actually. Running around, getting ready for this birthday party. And basically, MS sat her down. Just like me, I was getting ready for Christmas, my daughters, and MS sat me down. And we pretty much went through the same stuff. She wasn't able to walk. She had slurred speech. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that I was meeting someone so soon after being diagnosed, after not even thinking about MS for years. And my daughter told me the next day she had an Uber driver who also had MS. And since I've been diagnosed, I've been just running into people, and it just comes up. It, just out the blue. I don't ask, or I don't tell them, and then they end up telling me. It's just something that just comes up shortly after meeting people now. But I came home December 26th, was home 27th, 28th, 29th. I woke up with a really bad headache that just got worse as the day went on. And finally, around 11 p.m., I asked my partner to call 911. Something's not right. I gotta go back to the hospital. Went back to the hospital. They did another MRI. And they found that some of my lesions had shrank and some of them had grown. And I was like, what the heck? Interesting. So at that point, they admitted me again. So I was in the hospital Christmas Day and New Year's. And they did plasmapheresis, which is kind of like dialysis. Basically, take your blood out, filter it, clean it up, put it back in. And, get rid of the toxins. And that was something that I learned a lot about while I was in the hospital, doing a lot of research on MS. For the day in the hospital, I just decided, or came to the realization that everybody gets something as they get older. And MS is my something. And I have to deal with it. Nothing I can do about it. There's no cure for it. From all the reading that I've been doing, there's things I could do to, make myself feel better and slow the progression of it, cutting out toxins. So I immediately decided to stop beef and pork. And the pork I haven't looked back on, I think about it. But beef, I didn't eat beef for maybe 3 or 4 months after my diagnosis, and then when I did try to eat it again, it's just not delicious anymore to me, so I just leave it alone now. But another thing that I tell myself is that I feel better now than pork tasted. I feel better than pork chops, bacon, ham, and Christmas ham. I feel better than any of those things ever tasted. Um, and I still suffer from a lot of fatigue. I suffer from sensory overload, and I'm a hostess at a restaurant. And some days when I come home from work, I have to just like sit in here with the lights off and no noise before I can even eat or take a shower or anything. I just have to totally um, just decompress, I guess, um, because it's a lot. It's a lot. So I really pay attention to my body now. I eat, I eat better than I ever have before. As far as fruits and vegetables, not as much processed food. Um, when I am PMSing, I don't I don't deny myself anything when I'm PMSing. No, because that's a lot. That's a lot to be going through and be trying to deny myself some chips. So, Shark Week, I eat whatever I want, except beef and pork. But other than that, I drink lots of water. I take lots of supplements, the vitamins and supplements now, and I am only on one medication for the MS, is Tysabri, and that's every 30 days. I have to go to the hospital and have an infusion. It only takes about 2 hours. And I feel good afterwards. I know some people, they're very tired afterwards, but I haven't experienced that yet. The past 2 months that I've had it done, I've gone to work the same day. So that's been good. And I do have to take a muscle relaxer 2 to 3 times a day. I take it in the morning and at night, but sometimes the middle of the day dose I can go ahead and skip it. I don't really need it. So that's good too. But and I feel like if I don't take those muscle relaxers, the muscle spasms will come back, and the muscle spasms are very scary. They're very scary for me because like my hand locks up like that, and like my whole right side locks up. When I went back to the hospital after having the first MRI, I ended up losing use of my whole right side. I couldn't walk. I couldn't even scroll. I couldn't do anything. And when I came home from the hospital January 8th, I was still in that same condition. I couldn't walk on my own, and couldn't use my hand. I started my freaking period like December 30th. So I'm going through all this crap, and then she shows up. I was like, so upset. It's just the worst time ever. So my periods are not regular as it is. They've never been regular. But she chose a great time to show up. I suppose it was all the stress though. But yeah. I just, going through this has really been life changing for me in many, many ways. Um, the process of getting diagnosed, I had to have a lumbar puncture. If anyone hasn't had one yet, I wouldn't worry about it too much. I know it sounds awful and you think about what can happen, but when I had mine done, um, I laid on my stomach, I think, maybe my side. The techs are very nice. There was two techs in there. The one who was actually doing the procedure, where they stick a needle in your back. It's very thin, and they draw out spinal fluid, and then they test that, and it's just kind of another test for MS. Although I had already had the MRI, so they saw the lesions on my brain. The lumbar puncture, the testing of that fluid from my spine I guess, kind of confirmed it even further. But it wasn't that bad. It was maybe 15 minutes, and that's start to finish. And start mean the tech rolled me into the room to explain what's going to be done to the moment that I was rolling out of the room. It was only about 15 minutes. You feel a little tiny prick when they numb you. They go in. You feel a little something back there. I can't explain it. Like, not a tickle, but just I don't know, like a little scratch or something happening. But there's no pain. And I think I had to lay flat for an hour afterwards, which was fine because I was still in the hospital. So that wasn't too bad. And the plasmapheresis that I went through was every other day. I think I had 7 treatments. And that was like, it was kind of like donating blood, I guess. You know, they just put the big needle in your arm and you just lay there. I think that took an hour and a half to do. And that's it. You know, there's a TV there, so you're watching a TV and thinking about what the heck, what am I doing here? I can't believe I am in this room in this position with this diagnosis on my chart. It was a lot. It was a lot. But it, like I said, it's made me see life and myself in a totally different, totally different way. And I'm gonna make more videos and talk about more what I'm going through mentally. I just wanted to get this video out today because it's been 1 year, and it's just kind of been on my mind all year. Um, to start a YouTube channel and to help people, you know, help them through this process, help them figure out what to do, give them other options on how they want to handle this. I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a doctor. I have serious memory issues sometimes, but I feel good. I think I'm doing okay. It helps to have a reason for these memory issues and know why, you know, sometimes my right hand might feel a little weak. It really helps to have a reason. And I went through a period where I was like, is MS the reason why I made so many stupid decisions? Oh, it's gotta be the reason why. That's why I made all those horrible decisions in my 20s and 30s until I was like 39. So many bad decisions. So, but MS opened my eyes to a lot of things. And there's still so much more for me to learn. That's why I'm not really getting in the medical parts of it, because I'm still learning myself. All I know is I drink my water, I eat right, I get my exercise at work now. Also, I have 5 girls, so doing things with her helps. But I just take care of me. I put me first. I had to let go of some people, some relationships. I'm still working on getting rid of relationships because it's not worth it. I can't be getting bogged down with other people's crap, and I won't. I can't, and I won't. You know what I mean? I can't, and I won't. So, I really hope that this video and videos that I put out in the future help people and just help you have a better life and try to enjoy the rest of your days here. And this is for everyone, whether you have a disease or you just stumble upon my video and, watch it. I hope that, it helped you just to get through. And sometimes, terrible things happen and you just have to make peace with it. Like I said, I just told myself, everybody gets something, and MS is my something. So, I'll see you all on another video. Take care.